There's a tour on Royal Caribbean ships that you cannot buy. Not for $200, not for $500. The only way in is a loyalty status you might already have without realizing it. If you've ever sailed Royal Caribbean, or you've got parents or grandparents who swear by it, stop scrolling, because I'm about to ruin your next embarkation day in the best possible way. I've talked to a lot of loyal Royal Caribbean cruisers over the years, and here's the pattern I keep running into. People sail with this line 5, 10, 20 times, and they still walk right past things that are already sitting there, already included, already theirs. Not upgrades. Not something you pay extra for. Just things nobody bothers to point out, because why would the cruise line advertise something you're not paying for? I found some of these out completely by accident. One of them, I only learned because a total stranger mentioned it to me in a snack line, and I remember thinking, wait, that's been here this whole time? Another one sounded so made up that I assumed whoever posted about it online was joking, right up until I found other people saying the exact same thing. So today, 9 things, plus a little extra along the way, because once I started digging, I couldn't make myself stop. Real, current, the kind of thing you can use on your very next Royal Caribbean cruise. Not just trivia to forget by the time you board. And stick around for the last one especially, because it has almost nothing to do with the ship itself, and it might be the single most useful thing on this entire list. Let's get into it. Tip 1. The secret Coco Cay sandwich. If your cruise stops at Perfect Day at Coco Cay, Royal Caribbean's private island, there's a sandwich waiting for you at the snack shacks that flat out does not appear on the board. No sign, no listing, nothing. Cruisers have taken to just calling it the Secret Shack Sandwich, and once you know what's in it, the name makes a lot of sense. It's basically 2 regular menu items smashed into one. Grilled chicken, the same chicken from the chicken sandwich, stacked with mozzarella sticks, then drizzled with marinara sauce on top. So imagine a chicken parm decided to become a sandwich, and somebody at the snack shack quietly figured out how to make that happen, then never wrote it down anywhere official. Here's the part that gets me. You have to know the name to order it. You can't point at a picture, there isn't one. You walk up and say, "Can I get the Secret Shack sandwich?" And the person behind the counter just knows exactly what you mean, like you've both stumbled into the same secret club. Off-menu items come and go, so if it's not available the day you're there, don't panic. Grab a regular chicken sandwich, grab a side of mozzarella sticks, and build it yourself. Not quite as fun as saying the secret words, but same sandwich either way. And while you're on the island hunting down a sandwich nobody's advertising, it's worth knowing Coco Cay hides a few other small things too. There are combination lockers and cubbies scattered around the island specifically so you don't have to lug your bag to a beach chair, and depending on the weather, the swim-up bar near South Beach occasionally hands out surprise free drinks just for showing up at the right moment. None of that is guaranteed the way the sandwich is, but it's the kind of thing worth keeping an eye out for once you're there. Best case, you get a great sandwich nobody around you has ever heard of. Worst case, you get a confused look and a regular chicken sandwich. Either way, you win. Tip 2. Johnny Rockets hidden breakfast. Quick gut check. If I said Johnny Rockets to you right now, you're picturing burgers, milkshakes, maybe fries at 2 in the afternoon. Nobody's first thought is breakfast, which is exactly why this one works. On Royal Caribbean's Oasis-class ships, Johnny Rockets quietly runs a full breakfast menu, and it's completely free. French toast, buttermilk pancakes, the whole diner breakfast lineup, in that same retro Johnny Rockets style, checkered floors and all. Lunch and dinner there still cost extra if you're not on the unlimited pass, but breakfast is just included, no catch, no upcharge. And because almost nobody knows this, it's usually one of the calmest spots on the entire ship first thing in the morning. Everyone else is fighting the crowd at the Windjammer buffet or waiting on a table in the main dining room, and meanwhile, there's a great little diner breakfast sitting there with maybe a handful of people who happened to stumble onto it. It's such a simple idea when you think about it. Nobody's hiding it on purpose. It's just not the thing your brain associates with that name, so your brain never even considers checking. Your daily program or the ship's app will actually list morning hours for restaurants you'd never think to look at, and Johnny Rockets is usually buried right there in plain text, waiting for someone to actually read the whole schedule instead of skimming straight to dinner options. Diner breakfast, ocean view, half the crowd. Not bad for a restaurant you walked past 100 times, assuming it only did burgers. Tip 3. The the free gourmet food court. If you end up on Legend of the Seas, skip straight past the buffet on embarkation day. Tucked inside something called the Aqua Dome Market are 5 separate food stands, all included in your fare, and honestly calling it a food court undersells it a little. Korean rice bowls, Cajun gumbo, sweet crepes made to order, street tacos, and my personal favorite, a Spanish tapas stand with actual gazpacho and little plates that wouldn't look out of place at a real tapas bar on land. All of it free. All of it included. None of it advertised like it's anything special, even though it kind of is. Here's what I find funny about this one. It's not off menu. It's not a secret password situation like the sandwich. It's just sitting there, in plain sight, and most people walk straight past it because embarkation day brain takes over and everyone beelines for the one buffet they already know exists. Nobody goes looking for a second better option on day one, because why would you assume there's a second better option? And this isn't an isolated case either. Royal Caribbean has been quietly building these little specialty food pockets across their fleet for years, and most of them share the exact same problem. They're free, they're genuinely good, and they get a fraction of the traffic the main buffet gets, purely because passengers don't think to look past the obvious option on their first day aboard. Gazpacho and street tacos versus another lap through the Windjammer line. Not a difficult choice, once you know it's an option. Tip 4. Free room service breakfast. Room service on Royal Caribbean isn't free. Order a burger to your cabin at midnight, that's on your bill. Most people know that, so most people never bother checking the room service menu at all, which is exactly the mistake. There's one exception. The continental breakfast. Coffee, toast, bagels, juice, cereal, delivered to your door, completely free. Not fancy, not a full hot spread, but it's real food, no strings attached, and almost nobody thinks to use it because they've already filed room service under costs extra and stopped reading. My favorite way to use this one. Order it the night before as your wake-up call, not your phone alarm. An actual knock on the door with coffee attached. You pick a time, you hang the little order card outside your cabin, and the next morning, instead of snoozing 4 times, there's a knock, and it's coffee and breakfast, and now you're up because you can't exactly go back to sleep with a tray sitting there. Think about how many mornings on a cruise start with someone sleepily silencing their phone and rolling back over. This one basically bribes you out of bed with carbs, and if you've got an early shore excursion or a port day you don't want to sleep through, it's a genuinely better system than fighting with your own phone alarm at 6 in the morning. Tip 5. 2 free food hacks. This one's less a hidden menu item and more a, why did nobody tell me I could just do this kind of tip? 2 quick ones, both free, both ridiculously simple. First, grab a plate of fries from the buffet, the regular free fries, and instead of eating them plain, walk them over to El Loco Fresh, Royal Caribbean's Tex-Mex spot. Load them up. Nacho cheese, jalapenos, seasoned beef, salsa, whatever's on the toppings bar. Nobody's stopping you. You've just built loaded fries that would cost real money at any bar on land, and it cost you nothing because every ingredient was already free on its own. Second, and this one's almost embarrassingly simple once you hear it. Grab a cup of vanilla soft serve from the self-serve machine, then pour a little lemonade from the drink station right on top. That's it. That's the whole hack. It turns into this melty, tangy, pretty great frozen treat, and it works because both things were sitting there free the entire time, just never in the same cup. Nobody's hiding fries or lemonade from you. Nobody ever suggests combining them, so nobody ever does. And that's honestly the theme running through half this list. It's not that Royal Caribbean is protecting some secret vault of free stuff. It's that nobody's job description includes walking around the ship suggesting creative combinations of things you already paid for. If you're finding this list useful so far, that's what the like button is for, and if you've got a Royal Caribbean hack of your own that didn't make this list, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. All right, 4 more to go, and they only get better from here. Tip 6. The One Cruise Lounge. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, well, obviously a loyalty program has perks, stick with me on this one, because the number that unlocks it is going to surprise you. Here's a fact that's going to annoy some of you a little. If you've been on even one Royal Caribbean cruise, 3 nights or longer, you're already enrolled in something called Crown and Anchor Society, Royal Caribbean's loyalty program, whether you signed up for it or not. You didn't fill out a form. You cruised, and that was it. At that very first tier, Gold, one of the perks is access to a private departure lounge with a free continental breakfast on your next cruise. Not someday, after years of loyalty. Your very next sailing. One cruise gets you in the door. Let's actually talk numbers for a second, because the system is simpler than people assume. You earn 1 point for every night you sail in a standard cabin, 2 points a night if you book a suite, and 2 points a night if you're sailing solo and paying the single supplement. Gold kicks in at just 3 points, meaning a single 7-night cruise gets you there. Platinum needs 30 points, roughly 5 7-night sailings. Emerald and Diamond sit further up the ladder, but the point is, you don't need decades to start seeing real perks. You need one trip. Meanwhile, picture the scene most people are living instead. Standing in a long check-in line, shuffling forward with everyone else, while there's a quieter room somewhere on that same ship with coffee and pastries and considerably fewer people breathing on the back of your neck. Nobody skips this one because it's a secret. They skip it because loyalty program sounds like something that takes years to matter, so people mentally file it away before checking what it unlocks. It's not years, it's one cruise. Tip 7. Your drink coupons do more. This one's for anyone who's already put in some serious time with Royal Caribbean, because once you hit Diamond status, you get 4 free drink coupons every single day, and most people think they already know exactly what that means. Free drinks, cocktails, beer. Done, right? Here's what a lot of actual Diamond members, people who've earned this status, still don't realize. Those coupons aren't locked to alcohol. You can cash them in on specialty coffees too. Lattes, cappuccinos, the fancy stuff that normally runs $5 a cup and quietly adds up over a week. You can use them on extra bottled water too. Think about who this helps the most. Someone who doesn't drink much, maybe one glass of wine at dinner and calls it a night, might feel like they're leaving those coupons on the table. They're not. Those same 4 coupons just become 4 coffees instead. And a perk that felt built for big drinkers turns out to work just as well for the person who really just wanted a latte at 9 in the morning. There's actually a cheaper way to stack even more value on top of this if coffee is your thing. Royal Caribbean sells something called a specialty coffee card, 15 punches for specialty drinks at a set price, and it recently got even better because the card now carries over across multiple sailings instead of expiring at the end of one cruise. Combine that with your daily Diamond coupons, and depending on how much coffee you drink, you could be paying something like $2 a cup instead of $5, on top of the 4 you're already getting free every day. Everyone talks about the free drinks. Almost nobody talks about the fine print that makes it flexible or the extra card that stretches it even further. Tip 8. The tour you can't buy. This is the one I opened the video with, and it might be my favorite item on this entire list because it's genuinely rare in a way most cruise perks aren't. On sailings 5 nights or longer, Diamond and above members get a free backstage theater tour. Not a peek through a curtain, an actual 40-minute walk onto the real stage, back into the dressing rooms, past the costume racks, with 2 members of the production staff walking you through it and taking questions the whole time. You're standing exactly where the cast stands right before a show. Here's the part that makes it special. You cannot pay for this tour separately. It doesn't exist as an add-on in the cruise planner. The closest thing Royal Caribbean sells is a full access tour covering the galley, the bridge, and backstage together, running about $200 a person. But the backstage piece on its own, the dressing rooms, the stage, the cast Q&A, that part isn't for sale at any price. The only way in is loyalty status. And it's not the only invite-only experience hiding at that tier either. Diamond Plus and Pinnacle members, one step above regular Diamond, can get access to the full version of that tour, including the galley and the bridge, completely free, the exact same experience other passengers are paying $200 for. It's one of the few places in the entire cruise industry where loyalty genuinely outperforms money. You cannot simply pay your way into the good version. You have to earn it. Letters go out to your cabin at the start of the voyage, letting eligible guests know exactly which day and time their tour is happening, along with any other special member events scheduled for that sailing. Miss the letter, and you might miss the only tour offered that entire cruise, so if you know you qualify, it's worth checking your cabin mail on day 1 instead of letting it pile up unopened with the daily programs. Usually if something's good enough, a cruise line finds a way to charge for it eventually. This is one of the rare cases where the only currency that works is years of sailing with them. Tip 9. Your status works off the ship. This last one might be the strangest and the most useful on the entire list because it has nothing to do with the ship at all. If you've sailed Royal Caribbean, even once, your crown and anchor status quietly works as currency in places that have nothing to do with cruising. Hertz Gold Plus rental car status. Tier matching with MGM rewards, covering MGM casinos and resorts. Status matching with Celebrity Cruises Captain's Club and Silversea's Venetian Society, two completely different cruise lines. All of it unlocked by a loyalty program you're probably already enrolled in without ever checking what it does past the ship. Picture renting a car on a completely unrelated trip, months later, nowhere near a cruise, and skipping the counterline because a cruise you took last year happens to also make you a Hertz Gold Plus member. Nobody connects those two things. Why would you? One's a boat, one's a rental car counter. Royal Caribbean just quietly built a bridge between them and never mentioned it, and it goes even further within their own family of brands. Any status you've earned in Crown and Anchor carries weight at Celebrity Cruises and Silversea. So if you've ever been curious about trying one of Royal Caribbean's sister lines, you're not actually starting from zero the way a first-time cruiser would. You're walking in with a head start you already paid for, on a completely different cruise line, and most people never think to ask about it. One more thing before we wrap up. I promised 9, and you're getting 9, but I found a few more things while researching this that were too good to leave out entirely. So, consider this the bonus round. On the Oasis-class ships, there's a public seating area most passengers never notice, tucked at the very back of the Deck 5 walking track near the Aqua Theater. It's not hidden behind a door or restricted to anyone. It's just far enough from the main pool deck that almost nobody wanders back there. Open lounge chairs, ocean views, and on a sea day, it's one of the few spots on a 6,000-passenger ship where you can hear yourself think. There's a second one worth knowing, tucked into the elevator lobbies on Deck 9 on Oasis and Allure of the Seas. Small balcony-style corners overlooking Central Park, a couple of chairs, a little table. Grab a drink from one of the bars downstairs, head up, and you've got a private-feeling perch to watch the crowd below without being part of it. And if you're on Radiance, Voyager, or Freedom class, there's an unusual sail-away spot most people miss entirely. Head out to the promenade deck, walk forward, and look for a set of stairs leading up toward the bow. It takes you to the ship's helipad, completely open to guests, with a totally unobstructed view as the ship pulls away from port. No announcement tells you it's there. You just have to know to look for the stairs. None of these 3 cost anything. None of them require any status at all. And all 3 exist purely because Royal Caribbean built thoughtful spaces into these ships that never made it into the daily program or the app. They're not secrets in the sense that anyone's hiding them. They're just easy to miss on a ship with thousands of other people and a dozen louder things competing for your attention. One last one, and this is more of a favor you can ask than a hidden spot. Royal Caribbean's main dining room often follows the traditional cruise setup, meaning you could be seated with strangers for the entire week. If that's not your thing, you can email the special needs department a few weeks before your cruise and politely request a private table for just your party. It's not guaranteed. Availability depends on the ship and the sailing, but the crew will genuinely do their best to accommodate it, and it costs you nothing but the time it takes to send one email. So, let's run through everything we just covered because it's a lot, and I think seeing it all stacked together makes the whole point of this video hit differently. A sandwich that isn't on any menu, anywhere, that you can only get by knowing the exact words to say. A full breakfast menu hiding inside a restaurant everyone assumes only does burgers. A gourmet food court most passengers walk straight past because it's not the buffet they were expecting. Free room service you can turn into your own personal wake-up call. 2 food hacks that cost nothing and taste like they should. A loyalty lounge you already qualify for after a single cruise. Drink coupons that secretly double as a coffee subscription. A backstage tour that literally cannot be bought at any price. And a piece of plastic in your wallet that quietly works at a rental car counter and on an entirely different cruise line. Every single one of those was already yours. Already included. Already sitting there the whole time. Nobody hid any of it maliciously, and nobody's out here trying to keep you from using what you paid for. It's just that pointing all of this out has never been anybody's actual job. That part was on you, and now, hopefully, it's a lot easier. If you made it all the way to tip number 9, that's genuinely impressive, and I'd love to know you were here. Drop the words cruise for you in the comments, and I'll come find you and say thanks myself. And if this saved you some money or taught you something new before your next Royal Caribbean cruise, that's exactly what this channel's for. Hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.